How are we doing, guys? This is Eric from secretoftheinternet.com, rulethewasteland.com, and it is time again. It's a little late in the month, but I'm still in a moving flux. That's why I'm doing this seated and not having the camera on the desk, because it's not the same desk. Everything's a little bit different for now, but that's not going to stop me from getting into one of my favorite parts of the month, the Battle Box. And I have no idea what this one is about, as I never really do. We're gonna pop this open today with this little Kershaw. Having to get used to the different carry laws in Vegas for knives. Not really too happy about that, but you have to get a separate concealed carry permit to carry something like this. You can open carry whatever you want, but for concealed carry, there's a lot more of knives. There's a lot more stringent restrictions, and the concealed carry permits do not cover knives like they do in Florida, or like they did in Florida. So that's kind of a bummer. But let's get into that. It's neither here nor there, because no matter what knife is in here, I'll be able to open carry it if I feel like it. So that's cool. All right, so I'm gonna hide this paper for now so I don't know what it is. Let's see what our first item is. Fire mask, life-saving equipment. All right, so this is probably gonna have something to do with house fires, which is honestly fantastic if that's what this is all about, because that's something that is probably one of the more likely disaster scenarios that the average person is gonna have to deal with at some point in their lives. You know, is just regular stuff like that. And very few people adequately prepare for it. I myself have to admit that I am woefully unprepared for like a house fire type situation. I usually have a couple of fire extinguishers, smoke alarms, but beyond that, not a whole hell of a lot ready to go. So this, I believe, is a smoke mask, yeah. Fire mask. They have blankets. This company has blankets, gloves, masks. This looks like the mask. Cool little kind of gray digicam. Oh, they've got both in there. It's got the gloves, and it's got the mask. That's pretty cool. People really underestimate how quickly and how minor of a fire it takes for smoke to become a massive problem. And in the movies, they always show people running into these buildings that are just engulfed in flames and things like that. But honestly, it's the flames aren't even the real problem most of the time. Because when you have all the type of stuff that's in a normal house, it's not even like a forest fire or certainly not like a campfire. It's plastic, it's textiles, electronics, you know, different types of chemicals. The smoke is what gets people. It gets most people in fires don't die from their burns, they die from smoke inhalation. So even if the fire is not particularly bad, your whole house can fill with smoke almost instantly. I mean, you can do an experiment and just burn a small piece of paper or plastic in a tin inside, and you'll see how much smoke and how hard it is to breathe just from a tiny thing like that. So imagine if your whole bed was on fire or something like that. So not only would the fire be enormous and the temperatures be crazy, but there would be just instantly smoke would be filling everything, and it would be almost impossible to breathe. So a mask like that, super important. Let's see what else we got. A throwable fire extinguisher. I've seen these before. The ones I've seen were shaped like a ball. This one's just a bottle. But these are actually, you just hurl it into the fire, either ordinary combustibles or flammable liquids, it shows on the back. Just chuck it into the fire, and it explodes and basically snuffs out the fire. That's pretty cool. Let's see if we can take a look at what this looks like. That's it. Just a little plastic bottle. Just hurl it into the flames and it snuffs it out. Pretty cool. I'm liking this so far. Because this is the type of stuff that I really like Battlebox for. It's not just more of the stuff that you would already, that everyone thinks of, but the stuff that you're like, you know what, I didn't even think about that, or in some cases didn't even know that existed. And then you get it in the Battlebox. Here is another type of smaller mask. This one, it says, is for anti-fog eye shield. This is more against particles, allergens. It says some smoke particles, hazardous particles, spores, bacteria, things like that. So it's kind of like an N95, a general purpose breathing filter with a little bit of face shield as well. So it's something like if there was a 9/11 type situation, there's a lot of debris from falling buildings and smoke, things like that, and you just have one of these in your desk or in your car, that would be very useful. Water gel burn kit. I'm imagining this is a first aid kit for burn treatments. Let's see what we got it. We have water gel burn dressing, a sterile gel soaked. Yeah, see, these are good because if you not only do these normally have some kind of analgesics in there to relieve pain, they don't stick to the wound usually in the way that some normal dried dressing, dried bandages might. Here's another sterile. What's the difference here? I think this one has the cooling. I guess they both do. This one says pre-cooling not required. To figure out what the difference is between these two. And then we have some hydrocortisone cream, antibiotic creams, and other ointments in there. But yeah, so if you just slap on some bandages, wrap around an arm that's been sticky, you know, when the skin's all melted off of it, you're gonna have a hell of a time getting that bandage off later. So it's best to use things that are specifically made for burns, to have some of that around is important. And burns can get very easily, you know, can cause infection and things like that because the large surface area of skin that's usually removed. Our skin is what protects us from all these outside pathogens and things like that. So even compared to something like a puncture wound or a knife wound, a burn removes such a large area of the exterior of your skin that you're much more susceptible to infection. So they're even more important to treat. Even a minor burn is super important to treat in a situation, a survival situation, so that you don't get infected. Fire-resistant document bags. This is pretty cool. Definitely would be decent for a bug-out bag or things like that. Maybe even put the things inside this and then inside your safe. Keep your stuff from getting scorched too badly. It's a fiberglass bag. Pretty cool. So we're keeping with the fire preparedness theme here. These are great. A fire blanket. This thing you can use to usually smother the fire. Is normally what you do with it. Not just to cover yourself, but you can use it as a shield. But if you just throw this onto a small fire, you know, even if it's like a grease fire on your stove or something like that, usually you can just flop this on top, and unless it's some kind of chemical fire that's creating its own, you know, oxygen in the reaction, like a thermite reaction or something, see buythermite.com in the description, then you can smother it because they still need oxygen. Thermite, on the other hand, the chemical reaction has oxygen included, so it doesn't need an outside source of oxygen. It creates its own. That's why it can burn underwater and burn so incredibly hot. So you wouldn't be able to smother it with this. But most of the time, you're not going to be encountering a massive thermite fire. So this will work for a lot of other things. Great to have on hand. You could throw it on top of if you have this in your car and someone is personally on fire, you can smother them with it. If part of the engine is on fire, you can throw it over that and hopefully smother it out. All sorts of stuff like that. Very useful. In a lot of cases, maybe even more useful than a fire extinguisher. Because it's not going to run out or anything. Here's a flashing. I got cardboard dust on this one from all the... This is a roadside LED beacon. I've seen these before. I think they had these at the Prepper Expo that I went to years ago, or some version of this. They're a really rugged, rubberized puck with LED lights in it for, obviously this isn't specifically fire related. This can be for all sorts of emergencies. Much better than a flare because it doesn't create smoke, doesn't have any hazardous, you know, injury potential or anything like that, and you're still going to be easily visible. You'll be able to reuse it, things like that. So it floats, it's magnetic, so you can slap it on somewhere, very cool, but it's just an emergency roadside marker. You can use it as a beacon, if you're lost in the woods, all sorts of stuff, but that's perfect for a car kit. And whatever this last box is, it's really big, and I'm digging it, because I think it's some kind of knife or hatchet. Check it. Let's see what we got. The Tomahawk. We get some nice protective foam. Ooh, is this like a mini like fireman safety hatchet? This thing is badass. Check this out. First of all, it looks like something razor sharp. Snag the bag just from like sliding it out. Check that thing out. This is one of the single coolest things that I've ever gotten out of the battle box. Yeah, it's razor sharp. It's got a chisel kind of pry bar claw on the back, a nail puller kind of pry bar right there. Super thick piece of metal there. So you can see that's, oh, it looks like it's about 1/3 of an inch thick. Solid piece construction. Feels like micarta handles that are screwed on there, and you can see the screws, so if you needed to, you could get that out. Has ergonomic shapes here and here, so if you need to pry or pull or do things a certain way, or even maybe give that to someone so they can grab onto it and pull them out that way. Really cool. That's a pretty cool piece right there. Definitely an awesome safety hatchet. The one thing I do wish is they had some kind of sheath because of how sharp this thing is. You don't just want to throw this in your trunk and have it rolling around. So it's interesting that they don't have some kind of sheath or case for it, but you could get any sort of normal hatchet kind of cover. It should work. But this is pretty cool. And you could certainly use the back part, even though it's not flat, either end like that to bust out windows and things like that, or break open doors, knock off door handles. That is cool. It's very heavy. I would guess it weighs about 5 pounds. But like I said, it's a big solid piece of steel, so you're not going to bust this thing. You could blast through most residential doors, car windows, things like that. Very cool. I like it. So that is the battle box for September, guys. Check them out. You will not be disappointed. If you don't know where to start in terms of building up some decent gear for preparedness purposes, to subscribe to them for a few months. You don't even have to do the one with the knives if you want to save a little bit of money, but as you can see from this thing, it is pretty cool to get the one with the knives. They've had a lot of super high quality, awesome knives. So let's read the card for this one. Let's see. Fire prep is the situation report. One of the most important tools for survival. We've studied, practiced, and innovated new ways to create fire in case of a shit event or survival situation. However, rarely does anyone discuss what to do when the fire gets out of hand. As much we depend on fire for survival, for cooking, boiling water, warmth, making tools, etc., oftentimes fire can quickly turn into a danger that, if not controlled, will cause complete destruction. Wildfires are credited as the most deadly and devastating natural disasters to occur each year, and we're seeing that right now. Massive parts of the Pacific Northwest and West are engulfed in fire. Certainly that can spread to houses and things like that, but even beyond that, fires happen all over the country, all over the world, for the most mundane reasons. You never necessarily are going to be mentally just expecting it, even if you're prepared for it physically. It can happen whenever, just all sorts of different reasons. It can be something unrelated to you, it can be a little mistake you made, it can be faulty wiring, anything. It can just always happen. So yeah, every 20 seconds a fire department responds to a fire somewhere in the US. Smoke alarms reduce the chance of dying in a fire by 50%. But 23% of household fire deaths have smoke alarms that did not work or did not sound. Interesting. Well, in 2008, approximately 8 people died in home fires every day. Cooking is the #1 cause of household fires. So at least you would know it was happening. You're there cooking, hopefully. Although one time, I hate to admit this, but I'm so absent-minded that I put some chicken in the oven, set the timer, and then realized I needed something. I just started doing whatever on the computer and left to go to the store. And I realized it. I mean, the store was close where I lived in Florida. You know, it was less than a mile away. But I was like, what am I doing? So I ran home and the chicken was like dried out jerky. It was completely ruined. But that's certainly something like as simple as that could have caused a fire. So you got to be ready. That's it, guys. Check out Battlbox Battlbox. It's fantastic. You guys should definitely sign up. I've been loving every minute of opening these boxes and getting all the cool gear. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys later.